Small Business Tips Show, episode 23. Hi, this is Frank Thomas, Small Business Tips Show. I have Nancy Boisvert with me here today. Today we're going to be talking about the next part in the new Entrepreneur series, and this episode is called How to Turn Your Hobby into a Business. This is something you really got to know. It sounds bizarre, but trust me, you got to know all about this, so stay tuned. Thank you for joining us. My name is Frank Thomas. I've got Nancy Boisvert with me. How are you doing today, Nance?
Doing great, Frank. Doing great. How about you?
Excellent. Very good. Very good. Today's going to be an interesting show. It's something a lot of people don't talk about, and it's the next component of our series that we've been doing here. We just spent a couple shows talking about building a business plan and the importance of a plan and all that. But now we're going to kind of get into the mentality, mindset sort of thing of your business, and that is turning your hobby into a business. Or in other words, don't treat your business like a hobby. This is actually something that I encountered a number of years ago. I was talking to an accountant, and my business was full-time at that point, and I had ran my business. It was an IT services company at the time. And I had ran my business part-time while I was working for somebody else for quite a period of time. Now, what happened was this accountant said to me, Frank, you need to start treating your business like a business and not like a hobby, because I can see it. It reflects in your books. You're not charging the right amounts. You're underbilling. You're doing a whole bunch of things, and you're treating it like a hobby, like something that you don't depend on this income. And this is your full-time gig now, and you need to really think about this hard. And it was a real eye-opener for me. When she first told me, I was like, what? But it kind of sunk in, and it didn't take long, Nancy, before I tell you, it kind of permeated my soul, and I realized that she was 100% right.
Well, I think there's a couple of components to that. First of all, there's the idea that I think typically 90, if not 99% of us undervalue our own worth. We tend to either think that we're not worth that, or people won't pay that, or yeah, but look at what those other guys are doing. And that's the first mental hurdle you have to get over. And we touched on that element of pricing in the business plan. If you have to make sure that you have built that into your business plan as well, so that you've checked out what your competition is doing, what they're charging, so that you know what the market value is of your products or services. And then you're absolutely right. Then you have to get into the mindset that this isn't something that I'm just doing when I have extra time or because I like to do it. You have to truly treat it like a business. And if you were going to go out and pay somebody else for those services, what would you expect to pay? And then value yourself accordingly.
Isn't that the truth? I have found that since I've taken my business very seriously, people take my business very seriously as well. It's funny, when you don't take it seriously, then people who you work with don't take it seriously either. Like they're slow on billing or slow on paying. They're slow. Sometimes they don't pay at all. They want to nickel and dime you. It comes out in a smattering of different ways. But at the end of the day, it's our responsibility. I actually want to pull a quick reference. I remember reading this some time ago, and it was really good. It was actually I found it in Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. It's talking about the famous burn your ships story. And this is a true story. This actually happened. I tried to find the exact reference, but I couldn't. Let me just read this to you. A while ago, a great warrior, let me just move this over. A while ago, a great warrior was faced with a situation that made it necessary for him to make a decision which ensured his success on the battlefield. He was about to send his armies against a powerful foe whose men outnumber his own. He loaded his soldiers into boats, sailed them to the enemy's country, unloaded the soldiers and equipment, and gave the order to burn the ships that had carried them. Addressing his men before battle, he said, "You see the boats going up in smoke? That means we cannot leave these shores unless we win. We have no choice. We win or we perish." And they actually did win. to dig deeper into the story, I actually know that they were outweighed by about 3 times the number. I remember reading the exact history account of this. They were literally outweighed by 3 times the number, and because they had no course of retreat, they either went forward or they were pushed back into the ocean and they died, or they died on the battlefield. They treated it completely different. Even Tony Robbins comes out with the old saying. He has a saying. He says, "If you can't, you must. If you must, you can." And it's important to get that mindset. To get the mindset of, this is not a hobby. This is not something nice to do. This is my business. And it doesn't mean you stop enjoying it. That's not the case at all. It means that you have to sometimes look at your business, review it, and you have to review it many times, by the way, and come to that place where you take it very seriously and you find out where your focus is. In the free gift I give out on the Small Business Tips show site is making your passions your purpose. That's very important, finding where your passion is, because if you can find your passion, you'll find your purpose in your passion, and you'll make that transition from hobby to business very quickly and very easily. I know, Nance, that in my business, I've made quite a transition recently. I did lots of services, fee for services work, and have for a long period of time on the web. And in late summer, I started making a transition, and it just started happening where I started developing pieces of software I was developing. And now I've developed a few pieces of software. And I came to a place in November where I realized I had to reevaluate my business. And because I found that there's a lot of things distracting from the end goal here. And what happens is if you have things distracting you, you can't give your time properly to what you're trying to produce or do, and it takes 10 times longer. It's 10 times not as good, and it's noticeable with everybody you work with. It suffers. That whole effort suffers when you can't give it your primary focus in your mind.
Well, Frank, that analogy that you shared about the people and burning the ships, what you discovered with building out your new focus in your business is what they discovered because they had no choice. And that's that you need two things above all else. You need to be motivated and you need to be committed.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is kind of, once you kind of get that, it unlocks the door and people can move forward. I mean, those soldiers had no choice. As they said, we win or we perish. If you take that same attitude when you're building your business and you become that committed and that dedicated and that focused, then that's obviously going to help you move forward, because you're going to inevitably run up against obstacles and problems and issues. Mm-hmm. But what you will learn with that motivation and with that commitment is that you find solutions to all of those issues and you move around them for success.
Right. And when you've got to, like, one thing that I do is I look at my budget months into the future, because, with the money that my products make today are going to pay me a few months down the road. And I realize that if I don't accomplish today what needs to be done, in a few months, I'm in trouble. And because that has become my primary focus. And, well, the end effect of this whole story was I basically released all my other clients and made this my primary focus, made my program my primary focus. And I've discovered how much more serious I am about it, literally to the point where I kind of overstepped into too much seriousness and started being kept awake at night, like, oh, how's this going to work? And, it's kind of silly, but you kind of
got into the panic mode for a split second.
Right. And
because you burned your other ships.
That's right. Yeah. And it's scary. I'm going to be honest with you folks, that this is scary. Saying, okay, this is my ship. When you are married, and it could be a man or a woman, doesn't matter. You can be married and your spouse is making good money. It's really hard for you to be serious, because you know that if you fail, you've still got somebody to back you up. And Nance, you and I both know this. Nancy, you have to take care of yourself. You have to ensure that the bills get covered, and which means that some mornings you get up and you're like, I hate to make another call today, but I got to make it because I got to get another customer.
Can only eat so many beans. You have to like that steak too. Little
So
steak now and then.
yeah, another thing too that will come out of taking your business more seriously is you'll cut to the chase. You'll stop making excuses. Making excuses is just another way of saying to your business that I'm not really that serious about you. Oh, I don't have my business cards. Oh, it's ringing outside, or it's Wednesday, or no, you need to look at your business and realize that you got to get customers, and to get customers, you need to get in front of people. You need to network. You need to talk to people in your industry and your potential customer base. You need to get into those uncomfortable places and be ready for people to say no to you. Nancy, how many times have you heard the word no?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and you have to learn. I was having conversation. It's funny. I was having conversation this morning with a gentleman, and we were talking about that. This guy has had a whole. He's in his early 60s now. He's had his whole lifetime in sales, and it's one thing to say in your head, don't take it personally. When they say no to you, they're not interested. It's not about you personally, but you have to actually believe that in your heart for it not to affect you. And honestly, the only way to get used to it is to keep getting those no's. And
Hmm.
pretty soon you do become, I don't like to use the word numb to them, because you should always be hearing what other people are saying in case you're not delivering your message properly. But you can't be hurt by them. You
Right.
have to be able to move forward.
And a lot of time too, we have to realize that no necessarily doesn't mean no.
It means not
Or
right now, maybe.
maybe it's not right now, and it's not. And 99% of the time, no doesn't mean that they don't like you or they're invalidating what you're doing. It just means they don't want it right now. They're not your
Yeah,
customer.
yeah.
I get approached all the time by people who think that I'm their customer. I had one lady approach me and she was trying to sell me hand cream, and I hate hand cream. I don't like using this stuff, and she was trying so hard to sell me. And eventually said, "Darling, I really don't like hand cream. I've never liked it. I've never cared. Oh, but if you tried this one," I'm like, "Oh, you're killing me now," you know.
Yeah, 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 that's
But
enough.
and you could see that she was becoming deflated, the truth of the matter was I wasn't interested, and that's the truth of the matter. And I,
And you were saving her time and efforts that she could go on and find her ideal customer,
right.
instead of wasting time trying to convince you to buy something that you don't want, don't need, and wouldn't use.
Right, exactly. And there's we're approaching affiliates all the time, and within 5 minutes, I know whether or not the affiliate's interested. And you know
Yeah,
something, I'll cut the call very short. I'll say, I'll talk to him, and eventually I'll get to this place where I'll be like, you know something, this person's not interested. Move on. I said, well, thank you
yeah,
so much for your time. Do you know anybody who you think would be interested in
that's right. Yeah,
affiliating this product? And I'm not afraid to ask for that chain of referrals, because that's how we've been building our businesses. One referral after another after another. Hey, somebody who says no might actually give you a yes on the next person.
that's right. That's right.
We've gotten some miraculous yeses from people who we were just totally shocked by, and it's made a difference to our business.
Well, I
My
think that's something too, is people get afraid to ask for those referrals. They kind of tuck their tail between their legs and run off when somebody says they're not interested, instead of saying, okay, I understand that I can't offer anything that will be of value to you at this time. Do you know anybody who this might be suitable for?
Mhm. I
And
know my
that's a nice
son.
transition too, right?
Yeah, my son, when he was getting ready to go to college a few years ago, he was in his early 20s or late teens. I can't remember now, and he was still short a few $1,000s, and he needed to collect more money. He was working full time. He needed to collect more money, so he thought about it. A kid came by and said, "Hey, could I have your bottles? Because here in Alberta we have bottle recycling, and you get paid for the bottles." And he thought, maybe I should go give that a try. So he went out, and be honest with you, being an older guy, he gets rejected. Boom, 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 boom. And he was getting really kind of down in the mouth about it, and like, oh, this is just killing me. So I said to him, if you're going to do this, this is your first challenge. Take this as a challenge. This is your first set of no's, and it's simple no's, and you can get through these. And what'll happen is you'll start to develop your sales technique, because if you're going into business, you need to be able to sell. I don't care if you're a manager, If you are an employee, if you're in business, you need to have some sales skills, or you're going to be having a really your career is not going to be awesome. You know what I mean? Like, you need to sell yourself to a prospective boss. You need to sell your idea to prospective, your peers. You need to you always have to sell, and there's just no way around it. And
Yeah.
he went out and he just hammered away. And there was people who chased dogs on him, sprayed him with water, slammed the door in his face. And you know something? It took him about a week, and he was coming home with $200 worth of bottles every night. And he was able to collect like $2,000 in about 3 weeks, a month.
That's all right, huh?
And that was the money he needed to get to the next step. But I
Yeah.
listened to him. What happened was I was to help him out to kind of aid things along, because he was getting so many bottles after a period of time. Was I was driving behind in the van, and I would come up periodically, because they would scour our neighborhood, and he knocked on this door, and I could just hear him out of earshot. And he was talking to this lady, and this lady was nasty. Oh, she was, why would you want my bottles? And why can't you get a real job? And on and on and on. And he actually turned the whole situation around within about a minute. And she gave him like about $10 of the bottles. And he wasn't nasty. He wasn't lying to her. He was straight up. He said, ma'am, I'm trying really hard to go to college. How many, and I can't remember exactly, I wish you remember what he said, but it's how he handled himself. He handled himself in a humble manner, and he told her what he was trying to do and why he was doing this. And, I'm not trying to steal from you, not in the slightest least, but if you want to help a student who's trying really hard to have a future, I've saved up as much as I can, but I'm still short. And
right.
She opened up her garage, and it was like full of bottles.
Wow. Wow. Yeah.
But, she was very hostile. And that's the point. She was very hostile when she started. Now, he had got to the point where he was taking his business very seriously. He was able to handle hostility and get success from it.
Right. Turn it around. Don't take it personally.
He purposely, I think he purposely likes to beat himself up now, because he takes jobs that are really tough. He's in Lethbridge now, and he still has to continue to make money. They found the student job market's pretty sucky, because there's a lot of students in Lethbridge, in this town, and because there's a big university there. And eventually he got a job working with, canvassing houses for a product. And the average turnover rate was about 3 days, just to give you some idea. He did that job successfully for 2 or 3 months. And eventually he quit at Christmas time, because he's like, okay, I'm done doing this because it drives me crazy. But, he was so good. He spent a lot of time thinking about the customer and thinking about approaching, never lied to the customer. He did not want to be in a position where he was lying. And the initial sales tech he got was a little shady, so he didn't like it. So he made his own. And his close rate was probably about twice of everybody else's, because he used a lot of things in his favor. He did a lot of research, and he used body language, and he used he said something simple. He'd walk up to a house, and if the person was much shorter than him, he would step back. To give that person, because he knows a lot of people who are shorter, and that's nothing against short people, but there's a lot of people who are shorter that when you step back from them, it's a sign of respect. But if the person's taller than him, he'd step into their shadow, because he was trying to take dominance in the situation. And
he learned all those subtle keys. He learned all those subtle body language keys. What do they call it? NLP. There's a lot of NLP trainers out there that talk about how to interact with people in a non-threatening way. So I don't know if Matthew has ever taken any of that, but it sounds like some of those techniques have been utilized there. He just learned them. But also the most important thing is that Matthew also learned to be genuine. I mean, when you say that he kind of strayed away from the script he was given, those scripts,
it was pretty.
I know from putting scripts together too. It's one thing to put down the general concept of what it is you want somebody to say on your behalf, but everybody has to take ownership. They have to make it themselves. They have to be comfortable with it. And as long as they're not misrepresenting the company or the product, what's wrong with that? It makes it more genuine.
Right, exactly. And the interesting thing is he was very successful at it. And I've actually given him a whole new assignment now, because we've been spawning off a business, and he has been given the task to build the whole sales technique of it. And it's a paid gig, and I'm paying him for it. But I know that it's going to be extremely successful. You know, if he puts his hand into it, it will be successful. You know, he's 22 years old, and he's probably gotten no about 1,000,000 times already. So it really doesn't
Yeah.
phase him anymore.
The
So
nice thing is when you're 22, the no's don't seem to affect you as much as when you're 32 or 42.
I think it's a matter of just getting over it. You know, that
Yeah,
I've
it is.
kind of gotten to this place, even within my own business. There's just no way to. You get people who are just terrible. You know, you get customers who are terrible, and the more customers you have, the more you get that are terrible. And it's not that there's a lot of them, but there's a few of them, and or even not customers. You know, people who want to come in and raid your castle and rattle your chains and say nasty things to you. And it really, at one time, I was very emotionally engaged in those things. Now, I'm not. I'm like, I actually had to send an email to a fellow yesterday, and I'm like, dude, you need to get a life. I
Yeah.
don't, it's not that I don't care about you, but you're spouting something, and you're not even my customer, and you're trying to rely on my chains, and it's not going to work. So have a nice life.
Yeah, and
It's
you have to know just when to do that. And that's part of the learning, because if you are treating your business as if it's a hobby, then you kind of, first of all, you're not as entrenched in the whole concept of it, because you're kind of doing it when you feel like it and as you feel like it. But once you've created a business from your hobby, that's when you have to change focus, shift gears, and really start to hone your skills, not take things personally, and back to make sure that you have your business plan. You have to have that business plan so that you have your roadmap to follow. And another thing that differs from the hobby aspect that I really want to make is to make sure that you have a dedicated workspace. I don't care what you do. If you're a landscaper and that's your business, obviously you're going to be working out in the field, but you need to have a dedicated workspace where you can go to do all of the other elements of running that business: your bookkeeping, your business plan, your invoicing, your telephone calls, all of those things. Don't do it sitting on your iPad in front of the TV. It's not going to work. You're going to be distracted.
It's like doing homework. When you're in school, if you did homework in front of the TV, you normally didn't get 100%.
Yeah.
And in business, there is no 80%. It's 100 or nothing. It really is, because you get less than 100%, then you're in trouble.
Yeah.
So, and it does touch into that whole concept of the lack of focus and the lack of commitment. You need to have clear focus. You have to have clear commitment. And Nancy, I like the fact you brought back the idea of the business plan. And that's why we handled that task first, that we decided to change the order, because the business plan is so important. Your business plan is going to keep you accountable to your business, and it's going to help you know whether or not you're losing focus or whether you are meeting your deadlines, because your business plan should state, I should have this done by this time. I should have these many customers. I should be trying to get this much profit. This is what I'm doing in my business. I know exactly what in sales I need to accomplish before the end of January. And so the heat is on. We're trying to get those sales.
Yeah, it's your roadmap, right? It's your roadmap, and it doesn't mean that you don't take little secondary road and go enjoy some of the scenery along the way, but you have to understand that that comes at a cost. If you divert your focus, you have to change your expectations, and you're going to change your results.
Mm-hmm. And you'll find too that when you have that focus in your business and you're really trying hard to make it as good as it can be, and you're staying away from the work that doesn't get you to your goals, and you're doing the work that does, what'll happen is you'll discover other streams of revenue in your business. You'll discover, like in our business, we make money on our software, but we also make money on other people's software now too, because what we do is we host webinars and we show like products that fit with our product for people who've taken the time and developed them, and it's working really good. And what happens is now we can show a like product to them, and they purchase that too. And we've also been listening to people who they've said, we would really like to have access to these things and these things and these things, which are add-on things. So we're selling those too, and we're selling them. Actually, our sales on them are right now more robust than our software. But
The law of reciprocity, it really does help when you help.
mhm. And that's important too. You know, the another point that is really kind of would fit nicely into this show is when you're serious about your business and you're being serious with your customers, that means you're trying to give your customers 150%, and they see it. They see it. It's not that you're trying to work 10 hours to earn a 5-hour salary. That's not it. What you're trying to do is you're trying to give your customers, and you try to find things that you can do that your customers as a whole, like when you spend an hour, you try to make sure that your customers as a whole can receive that. You know, maybe
Give
like I said,
value.
let's say the person's a landscaper. What is it going to cost him to go out and mount his camera with a selfie stick and show people how to make sure how to tend their grass, or how to do their flower bed? Now you can post that on YouTube and say, hey, not only, you know, like, do I have landscaping supplies, but here I show you how to use them. I show you how to take care of these things. And all of a sudden, that like you said, that law of, I can never say that word,
Reciprocity.
reciprocity. Thank you. It's a tongue twister. That law of reciprocity comes into play because now they feel committed to you. They want to help you build your business because you're helping them.
Yes.
How do we handle this if it's only part-time, though? This is tricky because let's say you're working full-time and you're trying to make that migration from full-time to full-time in your own thing. This is a very tricky transition time. And I recommend people do this. What I recommend is, and Nancy, I liked your comment about having a separate workspace. When it comes to my business, I have one desk and one computer, which I program on. I have another one, which I do my accounting on, and I have another one, which is my studio where I'm at right now. My wife thinks I'm nuts, but you know something? I find that each place, I have a different mindset.
Yes.
And I have a different thought process. And
Change
it's
your
almost
hat.
like I changing my hat. And and when I was trying to do it all at one desk, I found that the task became jumbled, and I didn't like it. So again, everybody in the house thinks I'm absolutely crazy, but I find that I'm more efficient when I'm doing one thing over here, another thing over here, and another thing over here. And it sounds nuts, but it works.
But it works for you. Yeah.
Works really well. And hey, we got a house that's big enough to do it, so why not, eh?
Yeah. And 3 computers.
Oh, I won't tell you how
The
many
benefits. The benefits of the IT guy.
Yeah, I got 4 servers chiming on the floor beside me here, so and they're making money there too. So,
but the main thing is, if everybody else doesn't have that ability, just have a spot. It doesn't have to be much. Just a fold up table, just off somewhere that's in a well lit space, that you know that when you go there, this is your task. You
Right.
know, when you go in the shower, you're in there because you're going to have a shower.
Mm-hmm.
So why wouldn't you? If you would take that time to make sure that you're attending to a task in a certain area of your daily life, why wouldn't you do that when you're trying to build a business?
Mm-hmm. This is one thing that I do like about Windows 10 is the fact that you can actually have separate workspaces, like separate screens for different things. And because in Windows right now, even Windows 8.1, which I just still have, everything is all on one screen. And what happens is you can have the email running on the bottom, you can have this and that, and it interrupts you, or the Skype, it interrupts you. Whereas in Windows 10, they've kind of taken the Mac idea and the Linux idea to have separate workspaces. So you can set up one workspace for communications and set up another space for this and another space for this. So you could have one desktop and you just go to the right screen. Right. Okay, this is what I should be working on. And you can ignore all the rest. And I really like that. In terms of productivity, I think that's a really, really great addition to Windows. So,
well, it's kind of like having those 3 separate machines, isn't it?
Kind of, yeah, it is. Absolutely, absolutely. And make sure that technology is your friend and not your foe. And this is kind of a side note too. The IT guy in me is kind of coming out, but make sure you know how to use your computer. Make sure you understand Word or Excel or whatever you got to use to get the job done. Understand your machine. I see so many people who are doing business and they have no idea how to use their computer. And to me, it takes them forever to get the job done. And your time is precious. You only have so many hours of the day. You can't grow anymore. You can't invent anymore. And once a minute's gone, it's gone. You can't get it back. And that
Well,
comes back.
I'd like to bring it back too to making sure that you're following your plan, because
Mhm.
don't get in front of the computer and play solitaire.
Right.
Don't get on the
Oh,
computer and watch cat videos. When you're on the computer, know that you're on there for 1 hour, and in this 1 hour, this is what you're going to accomplish. And then if you want to watch cat videos, watch them till midnight.
right. And the thing is, you've gotten done. You can say, check, job done. Having a
That's right.
checklist and saying, you got to get these things done. This is my schedule, getting them done. It's actually a very good thing because it keeps you highly accountable.
Yeah.
I was going to say
To
something
get back
else.
to what you were saying about doing this as a part-time gig, keeping your paying job while you're developing your business, I think that is a very tricky transition, but at the same time, that's why it is so important that you do have the plan. You
Mhm.
do have to still have that balance. You have to have time for your friends and your family and yourself and your peace of mind. So make sure that you schedule time. And if you only are going to work on your business Monday, Wednesday, Fridays from 6 until 9, then stick to that. Obviously, if your kid has a soccer game or you burn yourself while you're deep frying swordfish or something, you have to take care of whatever comes up. But in the meantime, make sure that you have scheduled time, whatever that time is. Maybe it's only 2 hours twice a week, but make sure that you dedicate that time and stay committed to it. Because if you can't stay that committed and focus for that period of time, then you might as well keep your full-time job and do this part-time thing as a hobby.
Right. And it's so important to do that focusing and to get buy-in. If you cannot get your husband or your wife and your kids to buy in, or your family members to buy into your schedule, you're in trouble because you will not be able to take it seriously. And they will take, and I'd say about 90% of the time, they'll take their level of seriousness to your commitment based upon your level of seriousness.
Yes.
If you're
Yeah.
serious about what you're doing, what's going to happen is they're going to say, hey, he's really trying hard, or she's really trying hard. Maybe we need to leave them alone. It's not unacceptable to go to a local coffee shop and take your laptop with. Laptops are cheap. Take it with, and that's where you sit down. You get out of the house environment. When I first started my business, had to do that because I had a hard time. When I'm at home, I want to relax. And when I went to the coffee shop, I felt like I was outside of the home. So, okay, I can be serious now. And
Yeah.
because I already had that experience working on the full-time job and being in coffee shops and negotiating deals. And so for me, it was just it felt more like a workplace to me, strangely enough. And heck, you can get a great cup of coffee in the process. So why not?
Yeah.
But I like the fact that having that schedule when you're doing that, excuse me, that part-time transition, having that schedule, having that checklist, got to get these things done to get to my end goal. I have a commitment that I've made. I have to make a certain amount of profit by a certain period of time. I
Yes. Your
promise you,
budget and your timeline.
yes, I
Budget and
promise you,
timeline.
if you do these things and you take your business very seriously, even if it's part-time, you'll make the transition to your business. Do not do what I did, okay? And I'm going to be bluntly honest with you. One day I'm working for somebody else. The next day I'm working for myself. And I thought I had the cat by the tail, and I thought life was good and this is excellent. And I had a bit of a kitty that I knew that I had slush room, and I'm sad to say I blew through that kitty, and at the end of it I was
Yeah.
scratching my head wondering what's going on. I'm still not successful. And but what I found out was I wasn't serious because I had a kitty. I didn't burn my ships. They weren't burnt. They weren't gone. Like I still had a way to cover my needs.
Yep.
So I did. And so I didn't take it seriously. Did I learn a lot during that time? Yeah, sure I did. But did I take it seriously? No, I did not. I don't believe I did, because now I take it very seriously all the time. When I get up, I'm thinking about, okay, what's got to get done? What's got to get done? What's got to get done? How can I move this business forward? One thing I had to do is I had to tie a lot of different services together. I had to put my technical hat on for a little while and I said, we can make more sales if we tie all these services together. So I took about 3 days. Sorry, excuse me. And I had to tie all these services together, which I did. And now I know that's in place. Now I know that this just happens in the background, and I can use my mailing service to like my customers got automatically loaded into my email service. My prospects get loaded into my email service automatically. My webinar attendees get loaded. And I like that because now I can just go to one place and I can save time instead of going and emailing each person. Another thing that I do too, a lot of my software a lot of things that I do, I automate. So I'll take the time to automate a process that I know I'm going to do more than once because I know
And
I can.
that's the thing. You make an investment of time now, but it saves you so much time down the road.
Oh, exactly.
And it allows you to focus in other ways.
There's a product we've been selling. It's a little. I can't really tell you what it is right now, but it's a product that we're selling, and there's a process we must go through to ensure the product's okay, because we're actually we're rebuying and reselling a product, and the process is not long. It doesn't take long, but when you're doing 100 checks, that takes 2 days. So we just got 1,000 because we stepped it up, and I'm like, we're not going to take a month to do this. There's no way. So I took 3 days, 3 days, and I built an automation process to go through all the checks. And at the end, it spits out about 10% at the end that are okay. These have to be manually looked at. So we've reduced 1,000 down to 100. Still, somebody's got to take a little bit of time to check those last ones, but now the other ones are all ready to go. And we can sell them, and we do. We sell them right away, which is awesome.
Now I can hear people who are watching this saying, "Well, that's great for you, Frank. You're the IT guy. You know how to automate those things. I don't. I'm a landscaper, or I'm a marketer, or I'm an accountant." But that is something that you have to remember too. If you're serious about your business, it's about finding out what skills you have and what skills you don't have,
Mm-hmm.
and either partnering, mentoring, or hiring those other services that you need assistance with.
I always hate to flood a person with new tasks and new things, but I believe it's really important for you to understand all the processes of your business. And if you need to have an app written for your business, okay, there might be a learning curve that's very steep, and especially if you're not computer savvy at all. Then you need to rely on those people around you to find the right person to bring up that resource in and to have a budget and get it done in a timeline. And again, if you're serious about your business, the person you bring in should be just as serious.
Yeah. And of course, what that is getting to is my point that you don't have to build the automation tool yourself. Find out what's out there or get one built for you.
Right. And sometimes you have to figure it out yourself. Like Nance, I know that you went through a process where you had to learn how to do video and how to online market yourself with video and all that
How
stuff.
to edit the video, yeah.
And how to edit videos. And it's a mundane task, but it's great now because now you can turn around and take that to the masses because now you understand.
There's lots of little things I've had to do back to understanding your computer and things. There are several things when you're working with technology, there's always something that's going to come up, something that's going to glitch. And to have I always say I have enough knowledge to be dangerous, but at least I recognize that, so I know where to stop, where to draw the line. But you do have to know things. You do have to know that sometimes, you know what, your computer just has overload on it. Reboot it. Let it refresh its memory banks or do something like that, right? Or you have to know how to add in an email address, things like that.
And it comes down to basic courses. It's not hard. You know, I was working with somebody just recently, and they were struggling through a course in college, and I started asking them questions and discovered they really didn't know how to use Windows. And I said, you need to learn how to use Windows because this is hurting you now. Oh, but I said, take the time, take 3 hours and go through a simple online course.
Yeah, and there's enough out there. I mean, you can Google anything now.
Mm-hmm. Google is your friend, plain and simple.
Yeah.
But, you know, let's, I think we need to wrap this up here, Nance. So turning your hobby into a business comes down to the whole idea of creating a real focus, using your business plan, which you should have done or you should be working on, to tell you where you're going, what needs to be done, so you can put commitment into it. Get people on board who are not on board with you, who need to be on board. If you can't get them on board, you are in trouble before you start.
Yeah. Motivation and commitment.
Yeah. Torture ships. You know, if you need to make sure the time that you put aside is valuable. And You need to say, this is what I need to do and what I need to commit myself to get to the next step, or else you'll never accomplish what you want to do.
You'll just keep spinning your wheels. I've got a very, very good friend. We've been talking about her setting up an online business since 2010. And she's no closer today to accomplishing that than she was when we first started speaking about it all those years ago. Simply because I think that she likes the idea of it, but she hasn't torched her ships. She knows she's always going to have food in her belly and a roof over her head and clothes on her back. So she's not hungry enough for it. And I think that she has a big fear of failure. So she's not moving forward. Make sure that if you truly are serious about creating a business out of your hobby, that you do put that time in, that you do put that commitment in. You say torch your ships. Maybe not everybody is able to do that or comfortable doing that, I guess I should say, because it's not like you don't have the responsibilities of supporting a family either. But if you can't literally do that, figuratively do it, but treat it as if you did literally torch your ships.
Yeah.
And give yourself a time frame. If you can't make it work in, say, 6 months, if you can't get a return based on your business plan, then maybe what you have to do is rejig everything and see what's not working. Maybe there's no demand for it, or maybe it truly should be a hobby. And if you are serious about wanting your own business, see what else fits for you.
Mm-hmm. And actually, I want to touch upon a point you mentioned, was this whole fear of failure. Let me tell you something. You're going to fail.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. And if you don't fail, you've done something wrong. And I'll be honest with you, you're going to fail a whole bunch of times, but that's okay.
You don't learn from your successes. You learn from your failures.
Yeah. Out of the manure of failure, as it stinks, grows success.
Yes.
Yeah, there you can quote me. I love it.
Landscaper again.
There you go. But you are going to fail. It's just a matter of when, how, why, where. It's going to happen, and you're going to make mistakes, and that's the way it is. You're human, and just get over it, because it's not.
It doesn't make you a failure. It makes that way of trying to take your business forward a failure, not you.
Think of it this way. Think of, let's say, you ever see a little baby when they're just learning how to walk. They're about a year old, and they get up on their feet, and they're tottering, and they're trying to walk. When they fall down and they fall on their butt, do they just cry and never get up again? No, they get up again and try again. And that's what you have to do. It's like being that baby, and then when you fall, you just go, oh, I can't get up, and that's it, and you never try to get up again.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty bad.
Keep at it.
Yeah, keep at it, exactly. So be sure to take your business very seriously. Coming up on the next show, we are going to be looking at that exact topic, the fear of failure and success, which is our final topic in this whole outline that we've been doing. We've already covered the paralysis by analysis, the inside game and the outside game sort of thing. We've talked about the business plan. Today we talked about turning your hobby into a business. And we are going to be talking about the fear of failure and success. So make sure you stay tuned for that show. Nancy, thank you very much for your wonderful input. And
again, before you cut off, Frank, we do want to make the point that if anybody is taking this as the course, that there are going to be auxiliary products that will be available for anybody who has purchased the course.
Yes, exactly. And it's going to help you step you through a lot of the different points that we've made to ensure that that you're prepared and you're moving forward, and it's going to give you a cheat sheet to help get you back on track. But again, you've got to have that business plan. You got to.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Nancy.
Thanks, Frank. Thanks, everybody.
Have a nice day.